Chapter 1, The Meaning of Quran. Chapter 1.1, Quran is the universe. Quran is an Arabic word, which means divine reading or divine saying. Divine reading is the art of manifestation or creation of the whole universe. Quran as a whole is the multidimensional parallel planes or layers of the whole universe. The written Quran that we know is just a manual and a symbolic reflection of the real Quran, that is, the whole universe. We should all know that Quran, as well as all other religions' scriptures, is not a paper book that miraculously descended from the sky to a prophet, but in reality, the prophet gradually perceived the reality of the universe through meditation, by ascending and annihilating in the universal levels of quantum energy mechanisms, and finally in the universal essence. After the total annihilation, Furna, Salam, of the prophet, then he subsists by the reality and descend back to the level of his lower consciousness, that is, his bodily sense, or the material world, by subsistence in the real, Allah, God. In this state, the prophet at all moments, perceives and became the recipient of all energy activities of the whole universal disclosure. This quantum energy activity is the divine, that is, Allah, God, the grand universal energy speech or saying, which is Quran. Each time the prophet perceives and receives an update of this universal reality of energy activities, which is the scientific reality of existence, it will be inscribed down into his language symbolism. Such as, the energy strings in the universal services are the articulation of the letters, huruf, the energy motions in the universal processes are the vowels, wasul, and so on. This inscribed symbolism of the universal realities is the written Quran as a manual for the whole universal programming systems. We should all know that all the religious scriptures are divine symbolic dimensional theophany or manifestations, tajalliyat, of the universe that are descended into various degrees. Quran is called Kitab, which means the parental universe or the universe in its wholeness. The other religious scriptures are various dimensions or levels of the universal manifestation in descending order, accordingly within one another. All the other religious written scriptures are Quran also, regardless of their names in different languages, that is, they are the symbolic reflections of the dimensions of the universe. The final and the completion of the universal manifestation is called Kitab, that is, the entire universe in its wholeness. Quran means the whole universe, and it is or was reflected and looped in three phases: firstly, of permutation, secondly, of combination, and thirdly, of permutation and combination. Firstly, the divine essence, Zat, who is the extreme absolute source of all existent thing that is not and does not manifest in any form, and who is the unknown that loved to be known, so he emanate, Tajalli, as Nur Muhammad, that is, grand consciousness, grand energy, the fundamental source of the whole universe, which is the first stage of theophany, where the unmanifest essence vibrate and disclose as the manifest essence of Allah, God. Secondly, Nur Muhammad, the first universal disclosure, the manifested absolute who descended in loops of circular permutations of degrees into multiple planes. These planes or dimensions are the archetypal forms of all the prophets and messengers. Then it manifested as a dimension of spiritual creation, that is, lower energy of subatomic dimension. An energy or force unit of motion and acceleration in this phase called Gabriel, descended upon the microcosmic heart of all the symbolic bodies of prophets in reverse order, respective to their archetypal orders. Thirdly, as the written scriptures of all religions. Regardless of the different names given to these scriptures due to the human lower language differences. The Quran that we know is just a symbolic manual of the universe, which is the real Quran, as well as all the other scriptures are the symbolic manuals of universal dimensional points of view. We should know that all the 28 letters, huruf, which the Quran is written, are the stuff or various archetypal energies with different vibrations or wavelengths, which are the substances in the creation of the whole universe, that is, divine scripture, Quran. All the scriptures are each a degree of dimensional reflection of the grand Mohammedan scripture, that is, the universe in its wholeness. The metaphysical archetypal forms imagined by this pure energy as what defines its various aspects, is what is known as the divine attributes, sifat. Moreover, what these archetypal forms does in the universe, that is, the constant processes of the universal energies, is what is known as divine acts, f'al. One example of divine name of act is alkalic, the creator, its divine act is koluk, the quantum energy creating art, and the created thing or creature is alkalk. All these three are states taken by the one and the unique being, Wahidun Ahadun, who is the grand energy. So we can see how the energy, nur, of the attribute, sifat, of Arahamurn, the universal vibratory grand energy strings or the universal substance, is transforming and assembling to imagines quantum energy, quantum to subatomic or elementary particles, subatomic or elementary to atomic, atomic to molecular, molecular to compound, compound accumulate to imagine the cellular, cellular to organic matter, and matter of various species, and so on. This creating processes or programming is what defines the divine name alkalic, the creator, and the created form is kalk. This is the reality of Kalkar Ramurn, the quantum energy creative imagination. In reality, the whole universe is the book, Kitab, of Allah, God, that He manifested by reading. This divine universal readings is called Quran in Arabic, and all other divine religious scriptures are Quran too, because they are also divine readings. There are many divine scriptures. These divine scriptures are the symbolic manuals of the planes or dimensions of the universe, that is, they are different points of view of reality, that are consistently within one another. Some of the divine points of view are Islam, the Quran and the Hadiths. Christianity, Christian Bible. Judaism, the Tanakh and the Talmud. Jainism, the Agamas. Hinduism, the Vedas and the Upanishads. Buddhism, Tipitaka. Baha'i, the Seven Valleys and the Four Valleys. Shintoism, Kojiki. Sikhism, Guru Granth Sahib. Taoism, Dao De Jing. Zoroastrianism, the Avesta. And Wicca, the Book of Shadows. There are 124,000 prophets as well as prophethood, which are the different divine points of view, aspects of existence, energy levels, and the universal dimensions. Each of these prophetic planes is spiritually energetically a station as a particular prophethood, nubuwwar, and sainthood, wilayah, as well as a divine presence, and each of these planes has what it consists within it. These 124,000 aspects are archetypes or subdivisions of 313 division, and each of these 313 divisions is a divine book, scripture, or station as a particular plane or stage of divine universal microcosmic and macrocosmic descent, nuzul, manifestation, tajalli, and messengerhood, risarlah. The 313 divisions are also subdivisions of 25 division, and the 25 divisions are subdivisions of 4 or 5 division. These 5 divisions are the arc or parental divisions, which are reflections of the 5 divine planes, presences, or parental stations of the universal manifestation, Hadratul Kams. Moreover, the 5 divisions are subdivisions of 1, that is, the universe as a whole is a unique book or station and an arc that consists all the other books, that is, stations, planes, dimensions or presences, and it is the exalted station, Makaman Mahamudan, called the universal human or the complete pupil, all Insanul Kamil, that God reflects. This unique holy station, that is, the universe as a whole, in Arabic is called the station of Muhammad through Ahmad, known as Mahamud. In reality, everything is Muhammad, that is, vibratory grand energy, which is literally translated as the constant praising one. However, in the scientific reality, Muhammad means the manifesto, that is, energy vibratory activities or processes of the universal manifestation, from its initial level to universal quantum levels down to the universal physical and lowest level. By the will of the real, that is, our inner reality, we must know that the written religion's scriptures and their messengers are analogical symbols and manuals of the respective various dimensions or planes of the universe. As the written Mohammedan Quran is the amalgamation of all the other scriptures, because it is in reality, a manual and analogous symbolism of the whole universe, Kitab. When we want to read, or know, and perceive the energetic secrets and treasures of the universe, we should behold by transcending into these manuals, they are the whole universe in a written symbolism. Unfortunately, people are persistently mere reading this manuals egotistical like parrots, without a pearl of reality, thinking that the god of a specific religion called Islam who is named Allah is an Arab and a better idol than other religions' idols. In addition, that he is a huge bodily galactic entity sitting up there on a galactic chair, in a limited space in the sky. This notion is a universal programming error, because it does not exist at all and they're nothing like that. Due to this initial programming error, we will be engaging in the religious rituals just in vain, without perceiving its reality. This erroneous notion is what arises in the incompatibility among humanity. We must have conscious, etkan, knowledge, irfan, zoom and magnify, nazar, and potentially annihilate, furna, and transcend, suluk, through everything, yes I meant everything. When we repair our faculties of cognition, and zoom our insights, nazar, towards within ourselves, as well as towards people of different nations and religions, churches, mosques, monasteries, trees, cups, cars, pets, pen, and everything in the whole universe, all these things are perceived faded away, and nothing else, but only the grand universal energy, Allah, God, subsists, Baqiyat, who is eternally now, before, and after. This is the reality of unity or oneness, Tawheed, of Allah, God, the one God that everyone and everything serves and worships consciously or unconsciously, Tau and Akarhan, knowable and unknowable through our reflections, prayers, and meditations, and through the ever-quantum energy activities or processes and vibrations. This is the reality of Islam, that is, total annihilation and submission in Allah, God. In reality, all divine religions are Islam, as all the prophets of those religions are Muslims. We must know that Islam is an Arabic word for salvation, submission, and annihilation in the reality, the grand energy, Allah, God, and Muslim means a sage of this reality, so we should not regard language differences. Mohammedan Islam, that is, total and absolute submission in the real, is the amalgamation of all the other prophetic Islam, submission. When one is initiated to the Mohammedan Islam, is not that he was in the hellfire and absent or distinct from the divine in his former point of view, religion, no, there is no such thing. However, he upgrades his conscious perception to be able to reach the peak and exalted station of the divinity, which is the vibratory grand universal energy level, but not the dogmatism, ideologies, and sectarianism of the 99.99999999999% of so-called Islam, but the actual scientific reality and the divine universal Islam. The actual divine Mohammedan Islam has almost entirely faded away, only 0.000000000001% currently remains and survived, just as of all the other 313 to 124,000 divine prophetic Islam, religions, has faded away, only a nanopercent remains too, and some of them are those traditional religions that were despised and disregarded by many. Is a universal systemic error and unfortunate to see that, the ideological so-called mainstream Islam whom our opposition to the Gnostic, mystical, or Sufi religion has erroneously and unknowingly idolized the universal essence, Allah, God, the grand universal energy, as a big bodily entity who resides far up there in the sky. It is also a universal systemic error and unfortunate to see that, the ideological so-called mainstream Christianity also, whom our opposition to the Gnostic or mystical Christianity has erroneously and unknowingly idolized the bodily manifestation of Jesus as the universal essence, Allah, God, the grand universal energy. In addition, that his logos is a big bodily entity who resides far up there in the sky. However, the bodily manifestation of Jesus as well as all the other messengers and prophets are analogous and symbolic manifestations of their respective divine logos. The Spirit, in our modern term, energy, intrinsically within us, as well as within everything, which is our absolute scientific reality, is what all these prophets and messengers came to remind us of. For one to be a Mohammedan, that is, reality of an Muslim, one must totally transcend, ascend, and annihilate thoroughly into all the divine spiritual energetic levels of manifestation, which is same as the reality presence, logos, of all the prophets and messengers, from Adam up to Jesus, and finally Muhammad, which is the vibratory grand universal energy level. Vowels, wasal, are the definitions of motion, magnitudes, and directions of energy. They are: at rest, sukun, is energy at a specific level. However, the initial archetype of this state of energy is hurhud. Descent, fatha, is when the energy vibration or frequency is getting to the lower dimension, from the higher dimension. Moreover, it is initially the archetypal z-axis motion of energy, that is, nubuwwar, war, prophethood, and it is reflected as the dimension of larhud. Horizontal, rafa, is the development or the spread of energy in manifestation. Moreover, it is initially the archetypal y-axis motion of energy, that is, wilayah, sainthood, and it is reflected as the dimension of jabarut. Ascent, kisra, is when the energy vibration or frequency is getting to the higher dimension, from the lower dimension. Moreover, it is initially the archetypal x-axis motion of energy, that is, nubuwwar and wilayah, prophethood and sainthood, and it is reflected as the dimension of malakut. Descent loop, fathatain, is the loops of z-axis plane by permutations or combinations of energy descent, from higher dimension to lower dimension. Horizontal loop, rufatain, is the loops of y-axis plane by permutations and combinations, in the development or the spread of energy in manifestation. Ascent loop, kesratain, is the loops of x-axis plane by combinations or permutations of energy ascent, from lower dimension to higher dimension. Letters or consonants, huruf, are the vibratory strings taken by the grand universal energy, which are the stuff for manifesting or creating the whole universe. The grand universal energy initially vibrates up to 28 different levels of strings, and these vibratory strings are the 28 divine letters. They are consistently within one another, each in a different degree, and letter Aleph is the grandest universal vibratory energy. These letters are called abjad. However, there are two kinds of abjad, shirki abjad, and garbi abjad. Shirki means east, which is the ascent aspect of energy, that is, nubuwwar, and garbi means west, which is the descent aspect of energy, that is, wilayah. This is why the last letter of shirki abjad is the G of garbi, and the last letter of garbi abjad is the Shi of shirki, that is, the end point of ascent is the begin point of descent, and the end point of descent is the begin point of ascent. Garbi abjad table and their energetic numeric values. R. 1. Bar. 2. Jar. 3. Da. 4. Her. 5. War. 6. Za. 7. Har. 8. Tur. 9. Yet. 10. Kar. 20. Lar. 30. Ma. 40. Na. 50. Sa. 60. Air. 70. Far. 80. Da. 90. Gur. 100. Rar. 200. Sir. 300. Tar. 400. Sir. 500. Kur. 600. Zar. 700. Swir. 800. Gur. 900. Share. 1000. Shirki abjad table and their energetic numeric values. R. 1. Bar. 2. Jar. 3. Da. 4. Her. 5. War. 6. Za. 7. Har, 8. Tur, 9. Yet, 10. Kar, 20. Lar, 30. Ma, 40. Na, 50. Sur, 60. Air, 70. Far, 80. Sa, 90. Gur, 100. Rar, 200. Share, 300. Tar, 400. Sir, 500. Kur, 600. Zar, 700. Da, 800. Swar, 900. Gur, 1000. Words, Kalmat, are packages of vibratory grand energy strings, letters. That is, energy at this level is formed from the articulations of vibratory grand energy strings, letters. This is the level where the universal archetypal form starts to manifest, as known as the grand quantum energy. The verses, aired, are the various systems and processes in the universal nature. This is the level of lower quantum to elementary energy, which is articulated from the grand quantum energy. Examples are ejaculation processes, creating processes, death processes, growth processes, and transformation processes. The chapters, Sura, are the various kingdoms of nature in the universe. Examples: mineral nature, such as gases, liquids, solid, and so on. Vegetable nature, such as trees, flowers, and so on. Animal nature, such as cow, ant, bee, horse, camel, and so on. Human nature, such as man, woman, infant, older, human race, and so on. The divine book, Al-Quran, is the whole universe, known as the Insan al-Kamil, universal human.